Yo, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to today's market analysis slash trade recap episode. Today is Thursday, July the 24th. We took two trades today, as you can see right here. One loser, one winner. So I would say that today was not a bad day in terms of P&L, but a potentially bad day in terms of execution, and we'll dive into exactly why. But I'm gonna make this a quick episode because I have some things to do. But yeah, let's dive straight into it. I don't want to waste too much time. On the 30-minute, we were essentially at the all-time high area. We were essentially wanting to see how we would react at either the all-time high region or the slower liquidity. We wanted to identify direction as to figuring out if we were to head down towards this region or if we would break out and find direction towards the upside. And today was quite a mixed day. We saw the battle between both sides. We saw the sellers coming in, we saw the buyers coming in, and realistically, the trades that you took, we should have been able to capture both ends, but we were only able to capture one end successfully in terms of take profit, but we almost captured the other end by a tick. As you see here, simply because we did not follow our edge rule, in which we place our take profit two ticks above like the actual region, we got edged. The reason for the edge rule is to prevent getting edged, and here that that's exactly what happened to us. That highlights the importance of such rule, and that's why we need to continue to follow that thing. But yeah, I mean, let's get straight into the market analysis, and I just want to show NQ as well in in terms of the pre-market game plan. NQ was essentially the same, but as you see here, NQ we held that range and we are still in that range on NQ. ES was the one that broke out of this all-time high region. Now maybe tomorrow NQ can follow and ES can continue to head higher, but that's just something we have to wait and see. Or who knows, maybe you can use all of this potential buyer absorption that we might have been seeing as seller fuel to continue down. But that's just something we have to notice for tomorrow. Essentially, the game plan, pre-market game plan was essentially the same. So let's get straight into the market analysis. And as you see, from around 8:30 to maybe 9:05, 9:10ish, it was very, very difficult to find direction into where the market would actually want to head. We found direction only when NQ made its move for us to validate any sort of direction. We honestly could not find that identifiable direction today, and that's also one of the reasons that we may have struggled to make the highest grade trades. And we'll dive into that. But let's start out with market open. So let's go there. And as you see, bookmap distribution very choppy. We literally cannot take anything in this, but we keep it noted down that there's key liquidity here at 5369, 5396 down here, and also at 6408. There we go. 6408. And as you see, what we do is that we do this. We start coming down. And then what do? We start going up. There was nothing to be taken throughout any of this, right? And just look at how the distribution of liquidity on Bookmap cleared up. So like it was hard to actually tell where liquidity was set on the live stream because in reality there wasn't much for us to work with in terms of passive orders. Now, as you keep moving forward, we do see passive orders sitting at that 6410 area at 950 or 850, which is right around this area. And this area is actually where we saw our first dump towards the downside. And we kept this marked down as well, right? We had this zero print that came up in the footprint chart, and if you see, this closed exactly at that zero print, and right around the zero print region we started to see buying again, And maybe we saw absorption here that it really looks like we did see absorption there. But let's just skip through and I'll show you what I mean. Nothing to be taken throughout any of this because of the distribution of liquidity on Bookmap. Now here we do not even get into that region, that 6410 region, for us to actually take any reversal play. Let's just keep moving forward. Ooh, maybe we did. No, we didn't. We didn't even touch that region. We got very, very close to that region. One tick away. But at that area, we did not generate any volume. It's just buyers were not showing interest to push into that region. And here as well, buyers were not showing interest to push into that region. Rather, they were struggling to push above that region, and sellers were defending that area with the volume. But now here we see selling pressure occur. Nothing to take once again here as well, because it's hard to find direction. We do have a passive buyer there. Potentially, if you see absorption there, we might have been able to take the longs, but as you'll see, we broke through it pretty quickly. And now here was actually where we took our first trade of the day, and I'll explain exactly where. Right here. So what we see is that right here we saw a splurge of passive sellers enter into the market, and we did not see absorption there. Don't get me wrong, we did not see absorption there. Rather, we saw a large splurge of aggressive sellers start to kick in. After those aggressive sellers started to kick in, we saw passive orders come in. With this passive orders being there, and with that being an area where previously there were passive buyers, that's showing me that might have been a potential sentiment shift in passive participants. And now that can be used as a great area for price to be blocked off from going higher. And since we're so close to this 6396 area, it would be unreasonable for us to randomly just break through this level and head up there without first testing this level. So we took a short there, right at 6399.5. So not here yet. We were waiting for more reaction. As you see, we saw that right there. Around here is where we got our entry. And this was not the best in terms of risk to reward. We potentially could have gotten in earlier, like there or such, and then maybe gotten 17 ticks and a 1.7 risk to reward. But we got a 1.1 to 1 risk to reward. And honestly, it played out just like we wanted it to. These sellers came in very, very quickly, as you can see. But because we did not follow that one rule we were talking about where we keep it 2 ticks or 1 to 2 ticks higher, we got edged and it went straight to our stop loss. We definitely should have taken profit on this trade, and it's something to learn from. Idea and analysis was not bad at all, but it was execution that made this trade fail. Additionally, when the market started reversing like such, we should have been able to exit for break even, because typically when we see an edge move happen, that signifies potential reversal happening, right? Because we saw such aggressive buying just come into fruition, and when such aggressive buying randomly comes like that, is it really worth trying to risk holding it up to your stop loss where that passive barrier is? Because think about it, right? If these buyers are coming in and if they identify that they're edging it, right? Then what stops these buyers from heading all the way to our stop loss region? And once it gets to our stop loss region, there's like a 50-50 chance as to whether it holds or whether it breaks. And even if it breaks, it might break it by a bit and then go to our TP. So is it really worth risking that and holding all the way to our stop loss, or exiting for break even or potentially a small win or potentially a small loss to then re-enter later, of course that would make sense. It would make much more sense to exit for a smaller loss or break even and enter later. But we did not do that as well because we were kind of tied with the trade. We were kind of frustrated because it was hard to find direction, and simply because of the fact that we literally got one tick away from our TP because we did not follow our rules, which then led us to not follow another rule. But once again, it's a lesson to learn from. I'm not mad about that trade at all, simply because the analysis was right. Simply more execution would be needed, and I'm gonna look more for clear direction in the days moving forward because this all-time high region is not the greatest area in terms of order flow price action. You have to be very, very careful as to what you take because you need to identify that direction that is essential to actually take successful plays. And today it was a day where direction was extremely difficult to find. We only found that direction where we took the shorts after this area on NQ broke. We clearly saw that NQ was going down much more aggressively than on ES, and because of that, we were able to almost catch some of that move. But let's keep going and let's get into our second trade. And our second trade was kind of a discretionary trade, right? It wasn't something that we were actually supposed to trade, but it made sense within the market mechanics. That's why we took it. Let's go straight to that time. Right, so right here, where was it? Somewhere around here, we saw selling come in and passive buyers sitting at the location. As you know, there's around 100 to 200 passive buyers sitting at that location. We wanted to see if those buyers could hold that region, if this would have actually been a proper play, right? And that's exactly what happened. I mean, sellers came in, pushed the price down, and we started aggressive selling came in, but aggressive buyers came in to balance that out right away. And when we saw that, we entered in. Now, realistically, that's not an ideal place to enter, but in hindsight, it did work out. What I could have done better next time was wait to see if there was proper absorption at the area and take a look at here, right? This could have been like, this can be a great addition to a reversal setup, but as you see previously, right around here, where we saw very aggressive selling start to kick in, right? Previously, we saw very aggressive selling start to kick in there, and we went all the way down to our lower liquidity. We pushed above it now. We came back down towards that area. Now, are aggressive sellers starting, are they able to kick back in there and push down back to the 6396 area? Or what is happening to sellers? And here we're seeing aggressive sellers step in, but these aggressive sellers are unable to move the market lower. And because they're unable to move the market lower, that is highlighting to me that we are likely seeing absorption at this area. And because we are seeing absorption at this area with a reaction, that's highlighting a sentiment shift within the market, which can allow these longs to continue despite any significant passive buyer regions. That's what we did. Initially, we entered at 6403 with our stop at 399.75, which is around this area. It's kind of a random area, but here we just decided that from looking at where we had this absorption block. And that's how we based that trade off. And honestly, this trade played out pretty nicely despite that many passive participants. As you see, we did have passive sellers at that location. That's when we moved our stop up to break even because we're not trying to make the same mistake. Or not break even, but almost break even. We moved it 3 ticks from our right at this 402.5 area because right around there we had our kick of passive buyers get in, and these buyers were able to come in actually. You'll be able to see that very soon. See these buyers step in like such, and now we see more passive buyers here, right? At this 6406 area, we see a lot of passive buyers here. So realistically, we could have moved our stop into profit as well, 6406, right? So let's see if we move that into profit. 6406. We could have moved our stop loss 12 ticks into profit, which would have guaranteed us, which would have guaranteed that we're at least break even on the day, which we did not do, but in hindsight, we could have done it and we likely should have done it, I think. Yep, played out as expected. And then we headed all the way up to this high volume region where we had this big block of passive sellers. Right as we started tapping into that region and generating lots of volume, that's exactly where we exited, right around 940 here, where we entered into this absorption block and started generating a lot of volume with the kick in of potential aggressive selling. So that's exactly where we exited the market. Our OG take profit was there because we wanted price to head all the way very close to this 6410 area, but we've already headed up all the way there, and since we edged the lower level, what's stopping market from edging the upper level as well, simply with the level being so significant? We'll rather just secure profits as price is generating heavy amounts of volume at that region. And that's what we did, and that's why we were able to take profit on this trade. Now, realistically, analysis on both these trades were pretty decent. They weren't bad. But it was made much harder because of the fact that direction was very hard to locate, and the fact that this was a discretionary type of trade, and this was a trade where real risk to reward wasn't the greatest. If the risk to reward on this trade would have been greatest, great. If this was not discretionary and we saw a barrier to support this absorption, even better. But yeah, that's gonna be my word here for today. I think for the next few days or weeks, you have to be very key and very keen and very observant to actually see and identify where the direction may be and where exactly that direction might lead up into. And if we can identify that and if we are able to leverage that using our order flow tools, then we can succeed. But other than that, we have to be very careful, especially to avoid trades like this where we get edged out. But yeah, let's keep going. I'm pretty sure there was no other setups in the entire day. After 10:10, market started getting a bit choppy once again and volume started dying out. But let's go ahead and see once again. We break through that level passive sellers. If we head down to this level, if you do something like that, we might be able to take barrier retracement. But as you see, we do not see that occur. We're between two barrier locations. Now here we push through, break below that one. It's hard to tell direction still. We push down. 6410 area is showing flipping of liquidity, which marks this 6410 area as a very key level. But as you can see, by that time it's already end of market session. But I'm gonna go a bit further. This is gonna be 10:30-ish, right? It's a 10:25 candle. So we do break below that 6410 area. That's just what I wanted to see. And 6490, I'm assuming that we likely make a reaction off of such. And we do. We do make a reaction off of such, but then we have passive sellers here preventing price from heading higher, which then pushes the market lower, I would assume. A 1050. Yep, right there. Here we see heavy seller aggression. A big aggressive selling participant entered in with all these passive sellers. And with that, market started to dump. But yeah, that's honestly gonna be my take for today. I don't have anything else really to say. If you like the video, please interact. If you have any questions, feel free to join the completely free Discord server. Link is in the it's in the link in the description down below. Definitely, I would recommend you guys to check it out. You can definitely gain a thing or two out of it. Additionally, if you want to know how to take advantage of order flow tools like this and get started using order flow for completely free, starting today and starting right now, again, completely free, especially using Alice, one of our channel partners. Great footprint tool, most user-friendly footprint tool that I've seen. You can check out the links in the description for those as well. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. Other than that, today was a pretty midday in terms of how easy it was to trade. It wasn't bad in terms of our profit and P&L as we were in profit 8 ticks for today. But we likely should have waited or been flat as opposed to taking either trade without following rules. But overall, it wasn't a bad day. Both analysis were solid. We just need to be more aware and be more strict in determining direction and determining the confluences that will result in our trades. But other than that, nothing else to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for our final pre-market live of this week. And then I'll see you guys over the weekend after I do my market analysis later tomorrow. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.